Let us jump into the next session for the day, which is on the ESG concepts, right? So since morning, since our opening session, we have been hearing about the buzzword ESG and understanding how ESG is becoming the culture of organization and what reporting really means to it. So with that, I would like to invite CS Ranjit Pandey, former president of ICSI and practicing company secretary, to discuss about the sustainability reporting and whether it is a challenge or an opportunity. Mr. Pandey, I would request you to take on the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you ICSI for giving me an opportunity to speak here to this august audience, professionals. Thank you Singapore team for providing a great hospitality here. And thank you all for coming in the big number and attending the international conference, which we thought 3 years back that it will create some good noise across the globe, and results are in front of you. Friends, like you and like all of us, this is all, for me also this is a new topic, ESG. Though it is a very old thing, and it has gained the momentum, particularly in India. Of course, Singapore is always taking the lead when it comes to environment and sustainability. But though we started long back, but gained the momentum in the year 2020, and now most of the things are mandatory. And while making it mandatory, we are not leaving behind the scope for the improvement by making certain things voluntary also, by way of leadership indicators. So I'll take you through the whole concept of ESG connected to the sustainability reporting. So let's understand first of all what sustainability is, what sustainability development is, what is the sustainability reporting, and then what opportunity it gives to the professional in times to come. So this is my agenda for the discussion. Background of ESG, ESG and sustainability reporting, ESG factors, principles, global as well as Indian, sustainability reporting framework in India, and challenges and way forward for reporting, and of course also ESG. As you can see that what sustainability is, and in a very simple terminology, if you can say, ability to continue over a long period of time. What is sustainable? Sustainable for the longer period of time, for today also, for tomorrow also, and for all future generations. And that's why sustainability is taking care of all three elements: environment, which is required to be protected, preserved, and of course restored. Second, economy, that we should be economically also sound and capable of giving a return and dividends to everyone. And equity, equal distribution of the resources, to complete diversity, and resources should be reaching to all. So these three pillars, environment, economy and equity, has led to the concept of modern ESG, environment, social, and governance. Friends, if you go with the Common Future Report in 1987, long back, it has defined the sustainable development. And if you see the definition, it is saying sustainable development is not the fixed state of harmony. It is not the fixed state of harmony, rather the process of change. So we need to change continuously. It should not be static at all. It should be continuously changing. What change? In which exploration of the resources. So first, whenever you are exploring the resources, exploiting the resources from the nature, that. Second, direction of the investment, where you need to invest. Third, orientation of the technological development. And fourth, institutional changes. All these four things are made consistent with the future as well as present needs. Wonderful definition which has been given. It clarify everything, and even after hundreds of the year, it will remain relevant. That you need to take care of the present and as well as of the future. So meeting the basic needs of all, extending it to all, that means equity and opportunity to fulfill the aspiration of the better life today and even tomorrow. So this is what the sustainable development which has been defined by Common Future Report in 1987. You are all aware that sustainability reporting is, or sustainability, complete concept of the ESG is now mapped with sustainable development goal. And what are the sustainable development goal? 17 goals has been specified. And let me tell you, in India, most of the companies who are following the sustainability and giving the sustainability reporting, most of the companies has aligned their objectives and goal of the ESG to the sustainable development goals. Alignment here means they are not only imbibing the culture of ESG into their organization, they are also giving the report on the impact created on the environment, social and governance and economy as a whole. So all four indicators, three indicators, they are giving the key performance indicator KPIs and disclosing it in the annual reports. Friends, ESG has the journey and it has started, you can see, all started in 1972 Stockholm Conference. UN Stockholm Conference, here first time Global Environment Assessment Plan has been made. United Nations Environment Plan, UNEP, we commonly know it as UNEP concept has been recognized. Then we moved to the Common Future Report, which we have just now discussed. It has defined and it has said that ability to meet the present requirement without compromising the future. Then comes the Earth Summit. Most significant part was 178 countries has adopted Agenda 21 in this particular summit to improve the human life and protect the environment. So it is not only protecting the environment, improve the human life as well. Without compromising the needs, we need to have the, say, future planning, and that is why it is called sustainable. Then comes Millennium Summit. Millennium Summit 2000, of course, name suggests 2000. 8 Millennium Development Goals have been prepared here, and present day 17 SDGs. Majority, I will say, are new, but at least 5 goals from the 8 Millennium Goals has been, say, carried over to the 17 SDG. And when in 2015 UN Sustainable Development Summit has happened, the present concept of SDG has been initiated, has been identified. and rest is the story. After 2015, everything is, say, surrounded, and, say, focal point of attention is 17 sustainable development goals. We are revolving around this and following all these. So why and what is the significance of the sustainable reporting? Now comes to the reporting part. So brief about ESG, because we have say tomorrow one session on the ESG, complete session on the ESG panel discussion. So that they will take you through the nitty gritty. But this session is in regard to the reporting. And on reporting part, now I will take you through the various components of the reporting, various element of reporting, various principle of reporting, that what sustainable reporting is envisaged. So what sustainable reporting gives you and to the organization and say professionals around it? Number one, it gives you the opportunity to showcase the commitment of responsible and sustainable conduct of your business. So first is your opportunity. Second is brings the transparency in your efforts and commitment to the sustainable development, environment stewardship, and also responsibility into the operations. Third, provide stakeholders insight of company's impact on 3Ps. 3Ps, earlier it is called as people, planet and profit. Now it is called as prosperity. So people, planet and prosperity, all three, what efforts your organization has taken and what impact it is going to create and it is creating. Every year assessment is required to be done in the sustainable reporting, wherein you need to say give the disclosure in the percentage form that how much improvement and what impact you have created on the environment as well as people and also prosperity or economy. Then sustainable reporting format is such, it is derived in such a manner that you can compare across the industry. You cannot say that I am into the production company, you are into manufacturing company, and I am a service company. It is made for the service as well as producer company as well as say manufacturing company. So all kind of companies are covered and you can do the comparison across company and across globe also. Why I am saying? Because principles are more or less same. Somewhere some countries principles are 9 principles, somewhere 8 principles, and of course commitments are same because it is all, everybody is aligning it to the sustainable development goals. So all countries, since they are aligning their activities, aligning their resources to the sustainable development goals, so that is why you will see that principles are also same, implementations are also same, and impact is also going to be the same. Now, ESG reporting global trend. I have briefly tried to cover 4 countries. United Kingdom, you can see company's strategic report climate related financial disclosure regulation 2022. It is talking about the sustainable reporting. LLP climate report disclosure regulation 2022. So this is also talking about said sustainable reporting. So these two are basically voluntary. Let me tell you one thing. India is one country which has made this reporting also mandatory. But as I have told you in the beginning, apart from being some of the principle mandatory, something has been left as a leadership indicator, and leadership indicator means that you can lead from the front and showcase others that I am the leader in this and I have adopted this principle without being mandatory. So this is what India has done. USA, New York Stock Exchange ESG guidelines, again it is voluntary. NASDAQ ESG reporting guidelines 2.0, it is giving the reporting metrics, impact creation parameters and reporting format. Singapore Exchange listing rules, 8 principle. It is based on the comply and explain. If you want to comply, comply. And if you are not able to comply somehow, then you have to provide the explanation for the same. Performance measurement system, independent assurance. Another point, independent assurance. Some places it has been made mandatory, some places it has been made voluntary. So independent essence, in fact, I would say that ESG one thing, it is for you, it is for the future generations. So making it mandatory may not be necessary. I think we all have to provide the leadership role into it, and we have to implement wherever possible in our organizations the ESG principles and norms. TDFD recommendation, 27 metrics has ESG metrics have been provided, and Singapore Green Plan 2030, city in nature, energy reset, sustainable living, green economy and resilient future. All these 5 parameters are basically aligned by the corporate goals also, and corporations are also following these principles. Now let me take you through the Indian journey to the sustainable reporting. All has been started in the year 2019 with Corporate Social Responsibility Voluntary Guideline 2009. This is the beginning of the social responsibility and of course sustainable reporting journey. Then comes 2011, here national guidelines for social, environment and economic responsibility of the businesses has been framed. Then SEBI has issued the circular in the year 2012 making VRR as voluntary reporting format, business responsibility reporting. Then format of BRR has been released in the year 2015. Then one of the most important and significant development has happened in 2019, national guidelines for responsible business conduct. This is what led to the BRSR reporting. This national guidelines has bring out 9 principles. On these 9 principles, the whole matrix and whole reporting system of the ESG is based. Then report of the committee on BRR 2020. Here the committee, and in fact I must say compliment ICSI here, that in this ICSI team and ICSI secretariat under the leadership of course of the Joint Secretary Minister of Corporate Affairs Gyaneshwar Singh has drafted the entire format of this particular reporting. BRR, and here we have suggested that it should not be BRR, it should be BRSR. In fact, ICSI has coined this particular name, that sustainability word should be added to it, and this becomes the BRR become business responsibility and sustainable reporting. Then amendment to the SEBI LODR, BRSR made mandatory to top 1,000 companies. Then SEBI circular on BRSR, disclosure based on the national guidelines for responsible business conduct. And finally, recommendation of the ESG advisory committee. Here they are promoting 3 concepts: framework for disclosure, framework for the rating, and framework for the investing. So all 3 things are being captured here, and this is still at the recommendation stage, and it had just released in 2022, and this SEBI is working on it, and it will become the mandatory, or maybe say guidelines will come for this, making the framework available to all the companies. So key factors in BRSR, and in fact these factors we should keep in mind when comply and also at the time of reporting: accountability, transparency, integrity, responsibility, sustainability, inclusion, innovation, continuous improvement and alignment. These are the 9 things, 9 factors which are governing and say making the BRSR as a concept very robust and easy to follow. Some of the components, and in fact components has been divided into 4 parts. First part is governance and ethics, second part is social, third part is environment, and fourth part is economy. If I talk about the governance, ethics and governance, companies SG structure, that means sustainable corporate governance structure, code of conduct and policies. So this is talking about 3 things. Then social, impact on employees, impact on communities, and human right policies. Environment, here companies impact on environment, climate change mitigation effort, waste management policies. Economy, companies contribution to the economy, supply chain management practices, and impact on local communities. So all these are the component of BRSR which we need to take care in the. Now I take you to the actual section, how the drafting is divided and how drafting is required to be done. Friends, it has been divided into 3 sections: section A, section B, and section C. Section A, as it is apparent, it is a general disclosure in regard to the corporate entity and its framework of the governance. It's very basic requirement detail of the entity, product and services, operation, employees, holding subsidiary, structured, CSR detail, and transparency and disclosure compliances. So it's very basic, only data is required to be given in the first part of it. So it's not a big thing. Section B is bit serious. It says management and process disclosure. And when we talk about the management and process disclosure, first is policy and management process. Policy and management process is aligning around the making the policy and making the processes to implement the policy. So first is policy cover the all principle and core element of national guidelines for responsible business conduct. So as I have told you that it should be aligned, your all policies should be aligned towards those 9 principles which had been given in the national guidelines. Policy is approved by the board or placed on the website. So that means they are not saying that only management is required to frame the policy. It should be board level policy. So board should make the policy, disclose it, and approve it. Third is translate the policy into the procedure. So you need to drive the processes also how to implement this policy. Policy extend to the value chain partner. This is very important component. Guidelines or report is saying that you are not required to implement in your entity only. You are required to take care of the value chain partners, your suppliers, your customers also who are giving you the supply, because they should also be sustainable. If they are following the ESG principle, then only you take. And this brings a new concept that whatever the supply chain is, entity and any and every supplier of the entity, all should be compliant of ESG, all should be following the ESG norms. Then entity adheres the national and international codes and standards, specific commitment to the goal and targets, performance achieved against each of the target, goal and target. This is another important point. Whatever you have made the policy, you have made the procedure for implementation, and finally you have to give the performance, that means what impact you have created. And here I have seen the reports of various corporates. They are giving in the percentage term, quantity terms, qualitative terms also. And I'll take you through the compliances of course 2021-23, not 23-24. Some of the companies, how much they have achieved. Some data also I'll be giving. And if you are not able to comply any of the principle, then definitely you have to give the disclosure, reason for changes in the goals and targets. Then comes second part of it in regard to management and process disclosure, governance, leadership and oversight. Statement and on relevance of sustainability to the entity, whether it actually value you or not. That statement by the top management has to be given, that yes, this is my commitment to the sustainability, this is what I feel that this value to me. Highest authority responsible for implementation, specific committee if any, details review of the national guidelines by the company. So every year they should review it, whether it is aligning to the national priorities or not, independent assessment, and finally, if any of the national guidelines is not followed, entity does not consider it material or not have the capacity to follow, or if it has the financial or human resource constraint, that is why it is not following. So these kind of reasons have to be disclosed in the report. Now comes the most important part, is section C, principle wise performance disclosure. And why I am saying this is most important part, because here comes the data. Sorry, I think I have not forwarded it. Yes, please. Right? Why I am saying this is most important, because it is talking about KPI, key performance indicators, in alignment with the 9 principle of national guidelines for responsible business conduct. And here they have divided into two parts. First part is essential indicator, which is mandatory. And if I talk about the essential indicator, it talks about the training program for the say 9 principles: environment data, energy emission, water and waste management, social impact generated by the company, etc., etc. So this is basic visible things which is required to be mandatory followed by the companies and reported. Second comes the leadership indicator. As I have told you, it is kind of I am leading from the front and disclosing the whole world, displaying the whole world that you can follow this also. You can follow this also. So this is what the my leadership role is, and that is why it is called leadership indicator. And in the leadership indicators, most of the parts are accountability and responsibility of the business. Let's understand what are the 9 principles, because I spoke lot about the 9 principles of the national guidelines. If I talk about 9 principle, first principle is business should conduct and govern themselves with the integrity and in the manner that is ethical, transparent and accountable. So first is only talking about integrity and accountability. You should be having the integrity and accountability and follow the principles in the most say reasonable manner, so that you should display to the whole world that you are committed to the ESG cause. Principle 2, businesses should provide goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. यहाँ आ जाता है आपका प्लास्टिक, नो प्लास्टिक यूज, recycle, reuse, all concepts are coming here. Principle number 3, businesses should respect and promote the well-being of all the employees, including those in their value chain. Here comes the requirement of social factor. Social element is coming here, principle number 3. Principle number 4 is also social factor. Business should respect the interest of and be responsible to all stakeholders, not only your employees and your customers and vendor, all stakeholders. And defining a stakeholder is very difficult task. And this is coming into the sub principles, I'll let you know. Businesses should respect the human right, again social part. Then principle number 6, business should respect and make effort to protect and restore the environment. E part, environment. business, when engaging in influencing public and regulatory policy, should do so in a manner that is responsible and transparent. Principle number 8, business should promote inclusive growth and equitable development. And finally, businesses should engage with and provide value to the customers in the responsible manner. You can see everything has been covered in these 9 principles. And if you dissect every day, you will find something new coming up if you will apply your mind to your environment in totality, and your structure and social presence wherever you are operating from. I have taken 2 principles to analyze that what is there in these principles. First principle I have taken, principle number 2, goods and services is safe, sustainable and safe. If I talk about it, first point they are saying that you should do R&D and make the capex as well as every year investment in regard to doing the research on what your product and services is going to create impact on the environment and how it is going to improve the lives of the individuals. So that is first thing, that you should invest on R&D and also do the capex investment. Second, so this is all about impact, that your product or your services going to the consumers, whether it is going to create some adverse impact on them or on environment or not, that you need to do some R&D and try to come to the conclusion. Second, sustainable sourcing, and EI is indicate for essential indicator which is mandatory. LI is leadership indicator which is voluntary, and that is why in the bracket I have at the end I have written EI/LI. Second is sustainable sourcing. Your sourcing should be sustainable. Selection of the supplier, percentage of input. You are taking the supply, they should be sustainable. They should be supplying the sustainable product to you. How much of the percentage of product you are using, say for example you are using the power in the company, energy you are using, you have to report that how much percentage of renewable energy you are using into your consumption. Say 70%, you will have to write that 70% of energy I am consuming is renewable energy. So this is what the sustainable sourcing. And if you are sourcing it from some vendor or supply chain manager, service provider, then also percentage of that is also required to be calculated and given, that what your input is also sustainable or not. Reclaiming your product. Other day, I think Narasimhan sir, president, has sent me to Mumbai, and I was attending Dun and Bradstreet program. One of the panelists was from the Colgate, and audience has asked one very simple question, that you have made this particular tube of Colgate, say sustainable and environment friendly, fine, but it is recyclable, but what plans you have made to source it back so that it should not go into the dustbin and it should not be go into the, say, polluting the environment, because recycling also has the process. So what you are doing? It was a very difficult answer. There panelists tried to respond, but it was very difficult answer, because collecting every tube of the Colgate from the each and every customer, every consumer, is very difficult. So they are saying that we are making the plan and strategies that all such tubes should be coming back. How much time I have left with? 5 minutes? 2-3 minutes? I'll close, no issues. Then comes reclaiming your products, reusing, recycling and disposal, extended producer responsibility. This is sound management of product until end of the life cycle of the product. That means this is your extended responsibility, and life cycle assessment is also required to be done. That means your product is going out in the to the consumer, what is its life cycle, and concept like cradle to grave and cradle to crave, cradle and cradle to gate, these three concepts are coming up. And this cradle to grave means that it gone to the user, they have used it, and that it has came back, and it has came back or it has been disposed of. That means grave means recycled. Cradle to cradle, recycling is not say it is coming and recycling and then reuse. And lastly, cradle to gate means you are not responsible for the recycling, you are just giving and it is going out of the gate, then consumer will think what is required to be done. Then comes principle number 4, interest of and responsibility to all stakeholder. Here I was telling you that identification of the key stakeholder is very important. My question to you, that you are say into the forest area. In the forest area you are doing some mining activity. Who is your stakeholder? All inhabitants of the forest becomes your stakeholders. So that is why they are saying that you need to identify each and every stakeholder. Basis of determination, how on what basis you are determining that they are your stakeholder. Then a stakeholder group which is key to your entity, vulnerable and marginalized group, and channel of communication and its frequency to that particular group. So this is what the in-depth say reporting is required to be done, in-depth planning is required to be done. Process of stakeholder consultation, which is leadership indicator. I'll be rushing bit fast because time is the constraint. Now ICSI has conducted a wonderful say analysis of the BRSR reporting and compliances done by the various corporates, and what are the requirement and expectations in the ESG principles, what is the status of compliance, and some remarks has been given. First one is prepared and disclosed BRSR. 81% of the company who are reporting are supposed to report are, even if it is voluntary, they are in 2021-22 it was voluntary, they have followed. 81% of the companies in India has followed. ESG policy and approval by board 63%. Mapping ESG with social development goal 81%. Independent assessment of ESG policy 40.91%. BRSR assurance by third party agency 13%. Here we are lacking because independent agencies are also not there and concept is also very new. It will be done in times to come. Adherence of code of conduct 54%, and sustainable sourcing. This is also one area where we need to improve, because not source at all 14%, source less than 25%, 52%. So this is the data which is available with the ICSI. Key elements of the BRSR report drafting. When you are going to draft the BRSR, decoding and understanding ESG parameters, first thing. Second thing is multidisciplinary team. Your team should be competent and capable of say doing it, and you are required to have the multidisciplinary. It will not be possible. Somebody should be expert of environment, somebody should be expert of governance, and somebody should have some social connect also. So this is what is required. Align the goals and performance with the value and objective, materiality and prioritization of the issue, data collection, and this is another important point. Data collection and say authenticity of the data is very, very difficult to say source, because you may get the data, but what is the authenticity and which data is correct, which data is not correct, that is the very big issue in the BRSR. Defining reporting channels. So these are the say various elements you should consider while drafting. SEBI guidelines on BRSR, 9 principle, reportability of the reporting framework, consistency in reporting boundary, information to the complaints, disclosure related things. I'll skip this particular part. Now on the last 3 slides, I'll take you through the Indian companies. 2 Indian companies I have taken, and in fact, courtesy ICSI, this research has also been done by ICSI. So I have taken a lot of help from ICSI for preparing this presentation. E, S, and G. First thing on the environment parameter. If I talk about the policy, ITC and CIPLA, both the companies, policy on the resource efficiency, plan on energy management, policy on EHS and policy on EHS, environment, health and social, they have prepared. It clearly says that policies, nomenclature of the policy is not same everywhere. It is varying from the company to company. It is varying from the one. Second one is disaster management and business continuity plan. Of course, both the companies has the plan, but again nomenclature has the different. Carbon neutrality. Target of 50% reduction in the greenhouse gas emission by 2020. Sorry, this should be 30. Typo mistake, 2030. Carbon neutral by 2025. 53,900 ton of the CHG emission has been reduced. Then energy consumption, 40% of the energy requirement through renewable energy in case of ITC and 24% of the energy requirement through the renewable energy in case of CIPLA. Waste management, recycle 99% of the solid waste, and here in the CIPLA, 100% of the e-waste sold to the authorized vendor, whether recycled or not, but they have sold it to the authorized vendor who are expert in recycling. 97% of the input material sourced from the renewable sources, 84% hazardous waste channel for the recycling. So this is what the reporting they have done. On the social parameter, well-being of employees, periodic preventive health checkup, web online employee assistance program, wellness app, work-life assistance program. So all these programs they are running for their employees. Sourcing and procurement, gainful entrepreneurship opportunity to the poor women, 15% input from the MSME and small producer and farmers. This is another very important and classic case. Wherever they are sourcing, like you must have say noticed and read the newspaper, paddy burning. Big issue in India, particularly northern part of India. Now these companies, particularly ITC, what they have done, they are sourcing it in such a manner that they should be able to recycle and reuse those paddies somewhere for the sustainable utilization. So that paddy burning, and they are able to reduce it by the 70%. No burning at all. So this is what happening, and they are doing. Governance parameter, BRSR committee, ESG policy, international certification, mapping of ESG and independent assessment. First 4 is fine, last mapping of ESG. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 12, 13, 15. So 9 goals they have mapped. Here in case of CIPLA, they have mapped all but 3 goals only. That means 14 SDG goals they have mapped and they are following it. Independent assessment, they are getting their report and ESG framework assessed by the independent agency. Let me take you through some of the challenges in ESG. More complex and more effort for the production-based industry, particularly like I have told you, Colgate. Like I have told you, all the FMCG companies. It's very difficult. You may produce the recyclable containers, but how to bring it back? That is one challenge I have told you. Collection of the required data, reliability and integrity of the data. Managing the value chain partners. You can manage yourself, but you have to manage the third party also. That is very difficult. Then balancing interest of diverse stakeholder ownership, moving away from the compliance mindset. Everywhere, if it is mandatory, I will comply. and I want to comply only. I don't want to become the leader. That is the concept is always there. But one happy thing is there now that those companies who are following the ESG norms and applying and reporting in BRSR, they are becoming the leader. They are taking the say voluntary lead or role in following the ESG norms and principle. And in fact, ICSI has started the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report Awards. I think 2 years back, 2022 and 22, two reports we have awarded. And in those awards, we can see the kind of momentum sustainability reporting has generated in India, and people are following ESG, and in fact, it has become their craze to follow the ESG. So this is what happening due to the BRSR and due to the framework provided by the government. But lot is required to be done for the purpose of say effective implementation and impact creation. Last but not least, opportunity for the professional. ESG integration and strategy, data and metrics, how to fetch the data, what metrics, so defining and say defining the metrics, ESG investment advisory, regulatory and compliance, of course this is forte of the company secretaries, drafting reports, again it is the forte of the company secretaries, and last but not least, independent assurance. So as I have told you that assurances are also, independent agencies are not available who can do the assessment, and they don't have the robust team to do it. So this is the time to say live up to the expectation, come in the forefront and give all these services to the corporates. With this, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you so much. I've exceeded, I think, 5 minutes of your time. Thank you. Yes, Shankar.
Some NGO to collect their waste for recycle, and on that they are making some expenses. Is that expense is allowed as a CSR?
See, नहीं आई एम टेलिंग, थोड़ा सा मैं कुछ दूसरा आंसर देना चाह रहा था अभी मैंने बोला कि कंप्लाइंस माइंडसेट, this is basically compliance mindset. I think we need to, in ESG and sustainability, we need to move out of it. Actually, it is not a CSR expenditure. It is administrative expenditure for your waste disposal. It is not at all CSR. CSR expenditure has to be done to the say project and plan where you are going to create some impact out of that particular expenditure. Here, it is your business responsibility. It is not your social responsibility. It is business responsibility, and since your company is following ESG, you are thinking that let's club the CSR to it. No, it is not allowed. It should not be done. Any other question? Yes. I guess it is internal assessment because, and in fact, I have told you that independence assurances can also be done. So it is very easy that some energy consultant should come and they can always define that it is the solar power or wind power or whatever it may be, it is coming. So I think you can, it is up to you. You can go for the independent assessment also. You can assess yourself. There is no requirement as such. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your patient listening. ESG is the new concept. Let's live it together. Thank you so much. Thanks ICSI.
Thank you, Mr. Pandey, for this wonderful session. I'm sure, like me, many of us are going to take away several key notes from this session on significance of the ESR reporting, the global trends, and the shift that India has made from BRR to BRSR. With that, I would now like to invite Mr. Makani, our Vice Chairman, to felicitate Mr. Pandey.